Hi, this is Paula from the Sublimation Unchained group. Um, this tutorial is based on a design that a member posted, and she was trying to learn how to create her own designs. So for this tutorial, the software I use is Craft Artist Pro 2. It's an older serif program, and they stopped this program and began working on the Affinity products. But I still love the program so much. I purchased a large amount of license keys for it. So I still do have those, and the software is $20. Okay, the tools that I'm going to use in this are brushes, mask, and then we're going to use some graphic elements in digital papers. The Marquee type font is found on Deal Jumbo, Mighty Deals, Design Cuts, and Creative Fabrica. If you aren't subscribed to Deal Jumbo, I would suggest you do that because they often send out coupons. Just know whatever you purchase from them, if you purchase from them, never pay full price because there's usually a coupon floating around somewhere. Um, Deal Jumbo has these letters as part of a larger package. I know individually they're being sold on Design Cuts and Creative Fabrica, and I think they're $19. And on Mighty Deals, the letters by themselves are, I believe, $9 right now. For Mighty Deals, you can also Google for a coupon, and you'll get a discount there. There was a discount code which was Cats Who Code, and that one got you a 15%. But again, Google for Mighty Deals to find a coupon. Again, I never pay full price from anything I purchase there. Creative Fabrica, I have a subscription to, and so these letters are also on that site. But again, I purchased mine from Design Cuts as part of a large bundle. So that's what I'm going to be using. When you get the letters, they come in ping format, so you have to add them to your image that way. But with this software, I've made a digikit for these letters. It's called Marquee font. And so if I add them to the letters portion, just by clicking on them, it'll add them to the letters. I'm done here. Then I'm going to insert a page. I can just type in a word and insert it, and it works like a regular alphabet. So I'm going to get rid of this. Now I'm going to go to the design. So this is the design that I did, again, based on the design the original poster had. It was a red letter, red gingham background, floral element, and text. So for my floral element, the Design Cuts had a free kit a while ago. So what I did was I added items from my DigiKit. I took the items that came from Design Cut and I made a kit. And I added DC to the front of the kit so I know it came from Design Cuts, and I'll do the same thing if it came from Mighty Deals and whatever, so I know where I got my kits from and if they're commercial use or non-commercial use. So if I click on that, that brings up all the elements that came from Design Cuts, and I can add items to my embellishments here. And I can close this and I'm done. So, and then embellishments. You know, I could just pull it over. And I didn't add this flower here, so I'm going to go back in. I'm going to browse DigiKits. Go back to DC. And I'm going to add this flower. The kit had items. The ones like this are going to be JPEGs. They have a white background. And the ones without that square and shadow are PNGs. So that's one way to know the difference. And I brought them both in. This one will be a JPEG. And if I wanted to remove that background, I can go to two ways of doing it. I can go to Cutout Studio, and it's going to remove that white background. But I could have also gone into my photo lab, go into my quick fixes, other, CSO. I want to use my color picker. I want to remove the white. And again, there it is. The CSO is very good if you ever use one of those word art designs and you want to remove the white from the background of your text. That's the way I would go. So I'm going to cut these. I don't need these. And the design is made in 3 parts. I have a design layer, which includes my text, my digital element, and another digital element, which is my flower. The second layer is the mask layer. And what a mask does, it hides the layer below it. So anything that you put on the mask layer is just going to show on the layer below it. And the last layer I have is my material layer. And on that layer, I'm using digital papers. If I come over here to my materials, go to my design layer so you can actually see it. These are different digital papers. And say if I wanted to add a paper, because I have so many DigiKits, I can just go in here, and if I just want to view materials, it's going to show me the materials that I have available for all the different digikits that I have created. And if I was better at tagging my kits, like say if I only wanted blue items, if I tagged it correctly, then it'll just bring up the blues. If I just wanted pinks, it's just going to bring up the ones that I had for pink. So this makes it very easy when it comes to doing your design. Just having everything organized in your DigiKit. Okay, so I'm going to start over in a new page and show you how the design was created. Okay, I had my letter. I'm going to do the words tigers. So I'm going to start with my letter T. I'm going to resize it. I can resize it by using the handles, or I can just come over here to transform. This little key locks the dimensions, so they'll both change equally. So if I only want this 5 inches high, it changes both. That's the letter T. Now I'll go and I'll add text. The I-G-E-R-S for tigers. Again, I'm just going to pull to resize it. Now if I want a different font, I'm just going to click it and I'm going to go down my fonts. Find something that I like. I know I like one of these Sugar Rush ones. This is a problem with having too many fonts on your computer. That little hiccup, I don't know if you even noticed it, but if I switch too quickly in between fonts, it'll slow the program down. And you just have to wait a second for it to catch up. Okay, so we use this font. Now, if I go to my selection tool, I can edit the points. So this means I can move the letters around. So I'm going to go bring the G down, leave the E, move the R. Okay, so just say that's how I want my letters arranged. Again, with my selection tool. Now on the sample design, there was a white outline around the font. So what I'm going to do, instead of adding a line this way, say I can add a line. Select my line and add an outline that way. Instead of doing that, what I'm going to do is go into my effects. I'm going to add an outline. I'm just going to do it as a color so you can see it. Say I wanted to add an outline to it. You can see it in real time on your design, or this little key, it'll bring it up to the side and you can see exactly how it's going to look. Okay, you can also type in your numbers if you like. And I actually want this to be white. I start with the color because I have a white background. You wouldn't really see how thick your outline is. So I'm going to go OK. That outline is there. And then the next thing we're going to add to our design is the floral element. And again, this is the one I'm going to use. I did, instead of selecting the JPEG, the PIG image, I just used the JPEG. Again, this is just for the tutorial. I'm going to Photo Lab, using my quick fixes, other, CSO, color picker. I'm going to remove the white. And now I have my image. I'm going to resize it a bit. Now the image had a red gingham background in the back. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some layers to this. Now layer 1, which we have right now, is our design layer. So I'm going to rename this design. Now right down here, there's a little mask. You can really, if you get in there, you can see it. But I'm going to add a mask layer. And what the mask layer does, it hides everything that's on the layer below it. But I don't want my mask layer above my design. I want it below my design. So I'm just going to pull it there. I'm going to double click on it, rename it mask. And the mask layer is going to need something to hide. So I'm going to add one more layer. I'm going to rename this one material. And I'm going to pull this one below the mask. And the material is where we're going to put the element we want behind the letters. So for that, I'm using digital papers, again, which I have in here as materials. If I wanted to add different colors, because I have this DigiKit saved, I can go through and pick different backgrounds. So I'm going to use this blue and white stripe. I'm on my mask layer. This green line around it, it coincides with whichever layer you're on. So my mask layer, all the items are going to be green. My material layers, the outline is going to be green. Mask layer is red. And my design layer is blue. So I'm going to pull this, and I want this to cover my design. And now I'm going to go to the mask layer. And you want to make sure you're highlighted. You'll see by the blue which layer you're actually on. So I'm going to my mask layer. And the mask layer hides whatever below it. So if I wanted to add a shape like a heart to this, if I drew a heart, filled it with a color, that's what the mask layer is going to show. It's only going to let that heart shape come through. So instead of doing this, I'm going to get rid of that. And for this, I'm going to be using brushes to expose the material below. Now the program comes with a wide variety of brushes. You can use natural. You can use grunge. Grunge works well for doing this as well. Air brushes. And I'm going to use this medium coarse, this coarse spray. And when I select my brush here, I'm going to go up to my brush tool. Now here I can also change the size of my brush. You could type it in, or you can just use the slider. Sometimes I type it in because I want a very large brush. Okay. So now if I start brushing on this layer, it's going to let the color through where my brush strokes are. If I want it darker, I would go over this a few more times. Select OK, and go back to my design layer. Just gonna rearrange this a little bit. Bring this to the front. And that's the design. I can go to File, Print Preview, and there's my design. I'm ready to print it. Now, if I didn't like this background, if I wanted to change it to something else, I'm going to come back here to Layers, my material layer, and then I can get rid of that, and then I can just drag something else in. Resize it. And, you know, wherever I position it, it's going to determine the color in the back. If I want to use a blue instead, pink, and there's the design. You could also go in and alter your mask, like say you want to add more brush strokes to it for more color. Now what's also neat about this program is they have what you call layouts. Now if I take this design and add it as a DigiKit layout, it's going to save it as a template for whenever I want to use this again. And then also if I take my text and go into Embellishments, I'm going to select my text, make sure I'm on my design layer. I'm going to take this and I'm going to pull it into my embellishment. So now I will have this text whenever I want to use it, and say I don't want to do tigers anymore, if I want to do lions, I can just change my text. It's not gonna keep the jitter, but it will keep the outline of the colors. And if I go to select, I can go to edit points, and I can still move these letters around however I like. Now the second design that was shown was one with letters and like balls in them, and it's basically the same thing. Let's see, I had changed this one. I had pulled the image offline and I removed the background from it, again using the cutout tool. This is how the image originally was. It had a gray and white background. It also had a shadow on the image. And what I did was just use my Cutout Studio. I went in here. I'm going to zoom in a bit. And then I removed more of the background. Made sure I had all the shadow gone. And then you can also feather it a little to remove more. And in the Cutout Studio, you have options on which type of cutout you do. You can do an alpha edge bitmap or a vector crop bitmap. I'm using the vector crop. I'm going to preview it. And if I want the color different so I can really see if I got the edge gone, I could change the background color. Okay, that looks good to me. Okay. And so now I have this cutout. I can pull the cutout into my embellishments. I did this earlier, so do it again. Pull it into my embellishments. There that ball is. Now I want to add the love to this. I'm going to go to my letters. I want the L, the V, and the E. I'm going to hit insert. I'm going to adjust the shape, the spacing of these. This ball could be a little smaller. I'm just going to group these. I'm going to add my digital element. And again, now I'm going to add layers. I'm going to add that mask layer, which I'm going to pull below my design layer. And I'm going to add another layer, which I'm going to put my material on. So I'm going to rename this material. I want this below the mask layer. I'm going to rename the mask layer as mask. And the reason why you want to rename your layers, because if you don't, the layers are called like 1, 2, 3, and 4, and so on. And if you don't rename your layers, when you open your design back up, it's going to put them in order, in numerical order, and that may not be the order that you actually want your design in. This is my design layer. So now, like before, I'm going to go to my material layer. I'm going to add a material. Even though I can't see it, I'm going to stretch it past my word. I'm going to go to my design layer one more time because I want to move all of this down. Now I'm going to go to my mask layer. Again, I'm going to select a brush. I'm going to select my brush tool here. It's going to show me the brush that I'm using. It's going to show me the size of my brush. But if I want to enlarge my brush, all I have to do is slide that. If I want to make it smaller, again, you just slide. But I'm going back up to a larger brush. Oops. Got off the page. Okay. So I'm going down to make my brush larger. Now, again, making sure that I am on the mask layer, I'm going to start to brush. If I want a larger brush, if I don't like it, I just undo it. You can also change the opacity of the brush and the flow. But again, I'm just going to leave it like that. File, print, preview. And there's my design. Again, if I go to my material layer and decide I don't want that pink, pick up my selection tool. I can just get rid of this and again add a different material, change the design. And even here, if I don't like that color, we can go in and change the color of the material. File, print, preview, and there you are, ready to print your design. Now this is really simplified, and you can go above and beyond with the decorations, like again on my layers, on my design layer, I can go to this, I can add a style to it, like bevels, and make it embossed. I'm gonna zoom in here so you can see what we did. Yep. That's not embossed. If I redo it, that's embossed. That's just detail that you can add to it. You can add shadows and so on to change the design. Like Photoshop, you have this filter effects, so you can do a lot with your design here. I'm going to add an additional page. And I'm just going to add another shape to this page. Now if I go to Tools and I convert this to curve, if you're used to working with nodes, I can edit this. And change things up that way. Again, editing points. And then the program also has your tools that you may be familiar with if you do image editing, like in Shortcuts a lot, or say even the Silhouette program. Draw another square here. And see, this thing, I can convert it to curves. Now these aren't highlighted now, but you have your welding, your intersection, your cropping, all of that's under Arrange. I'm going to delete this page. Now another good thing about this is if you want to test your design, you can go into File, Print Preview, and here you can print as thumbnails, and then you determine how many per page. And see, now that has all my pages that I've done. And if I wanted to test my colors for sublimation, this is what I would use. Okay. And also what I want to show you is this is how the marquee letters come. They would come in a file such as this, and this is in PNG format. But what I did instead is I brought them into the program and I created a DigiKit for them. Same thing with, say, materials. This will be my file, but again, I could add it straight into the program, so I don't have to go out and find the file. I just know it's in the program once I create a DigiKit for it. So if I want to make a DigiKit, what I'm going to do is go to Tools, DigiKit Creator, Letters. I'm going to import, and I'm going to add a folder. And the folder is under Design Cuts. Get in here and find it. Okay, design cuts. Uh-oh. Okay, here it is. Design cuts. Okay, and then I'm going to go to main lettering with bulbs. That's the ones I want. And I'm say okay. Okay, then it's going to pull the letters in and have you assign it. And I just double click. I don't have a number sign, so I'm going to say no letter. That's a period. I'm just going to say no letter to a couple of these just until I get to the alphabet so you can see. Here's the numbers. Double click. No letter. Then it starts to bring the alphabet in. Double clicking on it. And so on. It's going to go like that through the entire alphabet. And if I assign it, I was just trying to go through that quickly. Brackets. But now I have the alphabet, and this will save as long as I save it as a digikit, it'll come up with that. And I know I put, so I'm going to say done. I know I assigned like A, B, C. I did assign those. Type that in. And now when I insert, here it is. It says alphabet. Whenever I want to use it, it's saved in the program. I'm going to stop here. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I do want to show you some of the other designs I created. I did the love here. Again, just changing the background, adding and embossing to these, changing the font. Again, changing the background with that tiger. This was the letter T that I originally had on here. And you could change the color on these just as simply as doing a color selection. So, okay, well, that's it for this tutorial. If there are any questions, please feel free to contact me. And have a nice day.